Hello, dear friends. While Spain suffers a Moroccan aggression on its border, the Spanish government gives 30 million euros to Morocco to calm it down, which is a tantamount to yielding to the blackmail of a mafia. The more you give in to the school bully, the more he will abuse his power. Opinion piece. UFO technology is beyond us. Retired Navy officers speak out. European Union also bets on ET technology. China triggers a Bitcoin crash. 60,000 secret agents operate around the world. Spain suffers a Moroccan aggression on its border. 8,000 Moroccans snake into Ceuta in 2 days of crisis. Spain deploys the army in Ceuta without being able to defend itself. The role of the army is decorative because it cannot shoot. Netanyahu's eldest son encourages to invade Ceuta and Melilla. Spanish government gives Morocco 30 million to calm it down. A TikToker finds the skeleton of a mermaid on a US beach. A strange giant skeleton of 30 meters is discovered on the ocean floor. Central banks have realized that the party is almost over. Let's start. UFO technology is 1,000 years ahead of us. A UFO sighted off the US coast in July 2019 used technologies that predate American ones by 100 to 1,000 years, retired US Navy officers said. In quotes, the technology we witnessed with the Tic Tac was something we wouldn't have been able to defend our forces against at the time. Singh Kahil, a retired US Navy weapons chief who served on the USS Princeton, told CNN. He added that this technology that exceeds the US arsenal by at least 100 to 1,000 years. He explained that the aircraft had no control surfaces, had no means of propulsion that could be detected, moved at hypersonic speeds, and preceded the pilots to their ceiling points, so it appeared to have some knowledge of where the pilots were headed in advance. Right now, we don't have that capability in our arsenals, he stressed. Images released last week and confirmed as real by the Pentagon appear to show a UFO buzzing over the USS Omaha combat ship near San Diego before diving underwater. A round object can be seen making a controlled flight over the water for a long period of time before it finally dives into the ocean. In addition, excited personnel can be heard as the object makes a controlled gradual descent into the Pacific Ocean before disappearing with a splash below the surface. The object is known as Tic Tac because of its shape. No explanation has been given for the spherical object. The Navy has listed it as unknown. It is possible someone found us before we found them, said Christopher Mellon, former Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence under Presidents Clinton and George W. Bush. He warned of the recurring violations of U.S. airspace by unidentified flying objects. In quotes, they are very capable, in some cases more capable than anything in our inventory. This has been going on for years, he stated. He stressed that the US and the world are clearly vulnerable and that sightings have been occurring for too long before getting the necessary attention from authorities. The Tic Tac incident was one of the 3 videos released by the Pentagon in April, showing images of unexplained aerial phenomena taken by US Navy pilots. The Italian MEP Mario Borghezio from Northern League presented in 2010 a declaration before the European Parliament to obtain the declassification of all UFO documents existing in Europe. According to him, the decision would have important scientific and technological repercussions. As if that were not enough, he adds that many members of the scientific community have denounced the systematic concealment of information on the subject. Bitcoin crash. China bans its financial institutions from providing services related to cryptocurrencies and causes Bitcoin to fall. Bitcoin fell 6% 2.5 hours after the measure was announced, but then managed to recover. China has banned financial institutions and paying companies from providing services related to cryptocurrency transactions and warned investors against speculative trading in digital currencies. On the other side, the value of Bitcoin fell 6% to about 42,900 2.5 hours after the measure was announced, according to CoinGecko data. However, the digital currency later recovered. Under the ban, the Asian giants institutions, such as banks and online payment channels, cannot offer their customers any services related to cryptocurrencies, such as registration, trading, clearing, and settlement, 3 industry bodies detailed Tuesday in a joint statement. In quotes, recently, cryptocurrency prices have soared and plummeted, and speculative cryptocurrency trading has rebounded seriously, infringing on people's property security and disrupting their normal economic and financial order, they stressed. According to the National Internet Finance Association, the China Banking Association and the China Payments and Clearing Association, institutions should not provide digital currency savings, trust or pledging services, or issue financial products related to digital currencies. Although China has banned cryptocurrency exchanges and initial coin offerings, it has not restricted individuals from holding them. The agencies also highlighted the risks of digital currency trading, stating that digital currencies are not backed by real value. Their prices are easily manipulated, and trading contracts are not protected under Chinese law. Crypto coins. The value of the cryptocurrency Starbase soars almost 40 times in an hour after an hour and a half after a tweet from Elon Musk. The growth of Starbase started minutes after the billionaire posted a picture of a sign of his Starbase city, which is being built in Texas and nothing to do with the digital currency. The Starbase cryptocurrency grew Tuesday from $0.006 to $0.23 or 38.3 times in an hour and a half, according to the CoinGecko portal. Despite such an instantaneous rise, the token failed to stop at the peak and plummeted in the next few minutes. However, it is currently still selling for $0.05, about 8 times more than before the spike. The growth of the cryptocurrency began minutes after billionaire Elon Musk posted on his Twitter account a picture of a star-based city, saying that this being built in Texas and has nothing to do with the digital currency. Ethereum creator bans 90% of his holdings in another cryptocurrency worth $6 billion. In quotes, "I don't want to be a PowerPoint like that," says the young billionaire in response to those who sent him their new cryptocurrencies. The programmer and entrepreneur Vitalik Buterin is getting rid of all his holdings on the Shiba Inu cryptocurrency, founded in August 2020 and not yet very popular, which has been donated to him several weeks ago by the administrators of this new project themselves. The co-founder of the Ethereum blockchain system and the Ether cryptocurrency transferred 90% of what he had to a non-existent account and thus bent the amount. It is to say, permanently removed those cryptocurrencies from circulation. The value of this transaction is around $6 billion. The immediate effect of this move was the instantaneous rise of the canine cryptocurrency quotes by 40%. The financial revolution of cryptocurrencies will be discussed in Seville. Innovation, technology and legislation of digital currency will be discussed in the first edition of the Digital Coin and European Financial System Seville Virtual Summit 2021, which will delve on May 26 and 27 into the major transformation of financial systems and cryptocurrencies. In quotes, "We have a real debt bomb that has turned the market into a real scam, because how can you invest in the 30 years US bond when there is no confidence in the dollar even 6 months ahead? The continuous yield curve adjustments are nothing more than the consequence of the attempted financialization of the debt market," argues David Morgan of the MorganReport.com about the last few days of unbridled money issuance, as if the central banks have realized that the party is about to end. Economy. Eurozone entered recession and lost jobs in early 2021. The Eurozone economy entered a technical recession in the first quarter of 2021 when it recorded a 0.6% drop in gross domestic product, driven by declines in Germany and the other major Euro countries except France, according to revised data released by Eurostat. The European Parliament has approved on Tuesday that the European Union's Just Transition Fund, the bloc's new tool that with a budget of 17.5 billion euros will boost the ecological transition until 2027, especially in those regions most dependent on fossil fuels. The Spanish debt set another record in March with 1.4 trillion and 125.3% of GDP. The public debt set a new record in March, the fifth in a row, and 1.4 trillion euros, a figure equivalent to 125.3%. Administrations closed March at 1,392,696 million euros, after rising by 1.9%, 25,726 million, with respect to February, which had already been at all-time high. Invasion of Spain. Some 8,000 Moroccans snake into Ceuta in 2 days of crisis. Ceuta waits in tense calm for a new day after the massive entry of 8,000 people since Monday, in an unprecedented situation for the autonomous city, with many stores closed and with health and emergency services already under pressure after more than a year health crisis. Ceuta has a population of around 85,000 inhabitants in an area of just over 18 square kilometers. The government reduces to 8 the number of migrants who have entered Melilla. The government delegation in Melilla has reduced to 80 the number of migrants who have entered the city irregularly this morning instead of the 86 initially reported, after having carried out the count in an exhaustive manner. Interior expelled 4,000 migrants, half of those who arrived in Ceuta, and enables a 24-hour return system. The Ministry of Interior has informed this Tuesday afternoon that it has already processed the return of about 4,000 migrants, half of the nearly 8,000 who have accessed Ceuta irregularly. In addition, it was enabled a 24-hour management system to expedite these procedures and further increase in police forces in the area. Spain deploys the army in Ceuta. The vast majority are Moroccans who swam into the country, while hundreds more people are waiting this Tuesday to cross the border. The Spanish government has deployed the army on Tuesday at the border of Ceuta with Morocco, to the arrival of more than 8,000 irregular migrants, an unprecedented number in the autonomous city located in the north of the Alawi country, but have orders not to shoot. Word has spread among the migrants that this part of the border will be unprotected for 72 hours. There is speculation that this is a maneuver by the Moroccan authorities to put pressure on Spain. This entry of migrants into Spanish territory, to which the authorities have responded with immediate and massive returns, could have links with the diplomatic crisis that began 2 weeks ago with the reception in Spain of the leader of the Polisario Front. The transit has taken place along a small breakwater between the border of Ceuta and Morocco, a place where there is not usually an influx of people because the fence is normally protected by Moroccan police, while this day there is no police presence. Morocco's migratory challenge provokes a diplomatic crisis with Spain. The massive arrival of irregular migrants in Ceuta, interpreted by the government as a challenge from Morocco, has provoked the biggest diplomatic crisis in years between the two countries, and a message of firmness from the executive guaranteeing the territorial integrity of Spain. Morocco calls its ambassador to Madrid for consultations. The Moroccan government today called for consultations its ambassador to Madrid, Karima Benjaich, a lady, shortly after she was summoned to the headquarters of the foreign ministry in Spain, which raises the tension between Rabat and Madrid to levels unknown in the last decade. Pedro Sánchez says that Spain will defend the integrity of Ceuta with all means. The president of the government has made an institutional statement after the increase of Moroccan migrants who have arrived in the autonomous city of Ceuta. In quotes, "Today I will travel to Ceuta and Melilla to show the determination with which we are acting from the first minute of this crisis from the government of Spain," he said. Spain has suffered an aggression to its border. The first vice president of the government, Carmen Calvo, considers that Spain has suffered an aggression to its borders that cannot be part of the good relations with Morocco. Spain and Morocco enter their biggest crisis since 2002 due to the migratory wave. Spain and Morocco enter today in the biggest diplomatic crisis in the last 20 years, with a call for consultations by Rabat of its ambassador in Madrid, Karima Benjaich, and this after the entry in Ceuta of almost 8,000 irregular migrants arrived from Morocco in little more than 24 hours. The government approves an aid for 30 million to Morocco. The government has adopted an agreement granting to aid to Morocco to pay for the police deployment in the fight against irregular immigration. The aforementioned aid, which doesn't specify the reference of the Council of Ministers, is 30 million euros according to Minister of the Interior. The European Union expresses solidarity with Spain and asks Morocco for cooperation and trust. The President of the European Council, Charles Michel, has expressed on Tuesday his support and solidarity with Spain after the regular arrival of thousands of migrants to Ceuta from Moroccan territory, while joining the warning launched by Brussels to remind Rabat that the border of the autonomous city is also a border of the European Union. Israel. Netanyahu's son encourages Muslims to start invasion of Ceuta and Melilla. The eldest son of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Yair Netanyahu, on Saturday invited the Arab community to start the invasion of the Spanish enclaves in North Africa, including Ceuta and Melilla. The number of people killed by Israeli bombardment of the Gaza Strip rises to 217. At least 217 people have been killed by Israeli bombardment of the Gaza Strip since May 10th, according to the latest balance sheet provided by the authorities of the Palestinian enclave controlled by the Islamic resistance movement Hamas. Diplomatic efforts to stop Israeli-Palestinian violence continue. 9 days into Israel's devastating offensive against the Gaza Strip, the international community, especially Egypt and Jordan, continue diplomatic contacts to stop the violence between Israel and Palestinian factions, although so far no result has been achieved. The US has created a clandestine force of some 60,000 secret agents operating around the world, according to a journalistic investigation. The signature reduction program would involve 130 companies earning more than $900 million a year. It also involves several dozen secret government organizations. In the last decade, the Pentagon has created a covert force of about 60,000 secret agents, and the US magazine Newsweek discovered in the framework of a journalistic investigation that lasted 2 years. According to an article published on Monday, it is an extensive program called Signature Reduction, which includes both uninformed and civilian officers deployed in the US and abroad. Of these, more than half are special forces working in war zones, but also in non-conflict locations such as North Korea and Iran. The second largest group are intelligence specialists. Also of note are cyber warriors, the newest category and one that is growing faster than the others. Breaking news, or bizarre news. NASA plans how to bring back samples from Titan moon. NASA researchers have imagined a new early stage concept for a lander on Saturn's moon, Titan, with technology capable of collecting samples and bringing them back to Earth. Nikola Tesla's invention, not understood for over 100 years, can be applied in various processes they discover. The so-called Tesla valve was designed to pass fluid in one direction, without using moving parts. Experiments showed that it does so when the flow velocity exceeds a certain figure, serving as a simple tube at low speed. In addition, the converts pulsating flow into steady flow. TikToker finds mermaid skeleton on US beach. A TikToker claims to have found a real mermaid skeleton on a US beach. TikTok user JJJMC12 posted 2 videos of his mysterious discovery on Sunday night and has since received more than 50 million views and 2 million likes. In the images, the young man's hands can be seen pulling out from among the seaweed of what appears to be skeletal remains of a mermaid before throwing it back in. The first thing we see is the head and torso, and then we can clearly see a tail that belongs to a sea creature. The young man can be heard shouting to his mother. A mysterious giant skeleton is discovered at the bottom of the ocean, and it doesn't match any other known creature. A video uploaded to YouTube by researcher Deborah Hatswell has now become a topic of debate among marine wildlife experts. In the video, sent to Deborah by a diver, a giant skeleton can be seen lying on the bottom of the sea. The researcher explains in the video that the diver, who works in the oil and gas industry, saw the giant skeleton in 2017. She also added that he was using a remotely operated vehicle about 8,030 meters below the sea level to explore the ocean. In the images, the vehicle approaches the seabed and detects strange bone formation. The backbone of the skeleton is in a straight line, and the entire specimen is approximately 30 meters long. However, the remains of the seabed were very fragile and fell apart when the vehicle attempted to pick it up. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.